Good morning. Good morning. How is everyone today? It is a Monday, March 9th, 2020. The time is now 8:01 Central Standard Time, and I'm going to do something special today. I am going to read my Bible. This is the New Believers Bible Compact Version, New Living Translation. Don't know what Bible translation you're reading, but this is what I'm reading. If you're interested, the link to this Bible is in the description. I got my Nelson Compact Series Bible Dictionary off to the side just in case. And I don't have a link to it. I keep saying I have a link to this one, but it's in the title is at least in the description. If you're interested, I've also got a guide that I'm using to help me pace myself as I'm going through the Bible, and it is called The Woman's Guide to Reading the Bible in a Year. And give me 1 second, I'll give you a screen share. Let's see. Oh boy, laptop's freezing up a little bit today. There we go. Good job. You can do it, laptop. Okay, A Woman's Guide to Reading the Bible in a Year. That's what the cover looks like in case you're interested. And let's see. The author is Diane Storts. And let's go down through the table of contents and you will see we are in week 11. Week 11 of reading the Bible. Yep, laptop's a little slow today. And what is the theme of this week? Let's find out. Give me 1 second, I'll be right back. I got a lot of congestion today. Yeah, a lot of congestion. Need to bring my lemon back. All right, we got week 11, and this theme is called The Way, the Truth, and the Life. As the Israelites' time of desert wandering concluded, God gave Moses his final tasks. Moses issued to the people God's command to destroy the Midianites, and he negotiated with the tribes of Reuben and Gad about their request to settle on the eastern side of the Jordan River. Moses also conveyed God's instructions for Israel's national boundaries and how tribal boundaries were to be established. Chapter 33 recounts all the places the Israelites camped during their wilderness years. It looks like we're gonna jump ahead into the New Testament in a couple of days. It says John's Gospel, possibly written around AD 90, differs from the other three Gospels in significant ways. It is not chronological. It includes long teaching discourses or sermons by Jesus, and it focuses primarily on Jesus' claim to be God and the evidence that his claim is true. From John's opening remarks to Jesus' 7 I am statements about himself, from Jesus' miracles, called signs in John, to the testimony of others such as John the Baptist and Martha, this gospel urges readers to believe that Jesus was indeed fully God and fully man, the Son of God, the Jewish Messiah, the Savior of the world. And we got Numbers 31 and 33. That's what I'm going to read today. Numbers 34 through 36 is tomorrow. And so by Wednesday, we'll be jumping into John 1 through 3. The checkpoints for this week are a conversation by a well. Oh my goodness. A conversation by a well, slaves and sons, the light of the world, a king on a colt, and a servant's example. Those are the checkpoints. There is a quote here by Tim Keller. It says, "The Bible is primarily an account of what's wrong with us, of what God plans to do about it, and about what he has done about it. in history through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. That is a quote by Tim Keller. And now it's time for the recap. All right. That was the introduction. Each week of the guide that I'm using has a little breakdown like that I will usually be reading on the first of the week, and so that's what I was doing there. And now let me pop back over to this room to see what's going on. Katatin Cooking Mama's Homesteads in the house. Good morning. Good morning, may God bless you. I'm in the car driving. Okay, be safe and just listen to the sound of my voice. Although there's quite a bit of congestion in it today. I should have gotten hot tea instead of cold orange juice. But I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work, y'all. All right, let me do a recap because, like I said, today is Numbers 31 through 33, which means I did 30, 29, and 28. All right, this is what I read yesterday. Chapter 28, which was talking about daily offerings. There was a lot of offerings. There were a lot of offerings. Okay, chapter 28 talked about the daily offerings, the Sabbath offerings, the monthly offerings, offerings of the Passover, offerings for the festival of harvest, which, I'll break it down in a minute because they're called one thing here in the olden days of the Old Testament, but then nowadays on the Jewish calendar they have modern names. Offerings for the festival of harvest, offerings for the festival of trumpets, offerings for the Day of Atonement, offerings for the festival of shelters, and yeah. So let me jump back down to the postscript real quick. They were called Festival of the Weeks, was later called Festival of Pentecost. The other one, it is called today Shabbath or Shabbat, and then the other one was Rosh Hashanah. That's the one talking about the first day of the seventh month, or the lunar calendar, lunar seventh month. The other one was Yom Kippur, and the other one was Sukkot or Sukkoth. So all those different festivals that had different names like Festival of the Trumpets, Day of Atonement, things like that. Those are the holidays that they're called now. Shabbat, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, and Sukkot. All right. And there were very specific ways on how to present sacrifices during those offerings. All right, now let's jump ahead to 31. Oh no, I'm missing something. Laws concerning vows. That was in chapter 30. The women and men both, from time to time, made vows to God, and this is, well, as far as with the women, this is how they were supposed to be carried out and or nullified by the husband or father. Now we're in chapter 31. Are you ready? I'm ready. Chapter 31 talks about conquests of the Midianites. Then the Lord said to Moses, on behalf of the people of Israel, take revenge on the Midianites for leading them into idolatry. Remember that Moabite woman and the guy who snuck off with her in a tent? They did not have a good ending. On behalf of the people of Israel, take revenge on the Midianites for leading them into idolatry. After that, you will die and join your ancestors. So that's God talking to Moses because, yeah, right before, a couple chapters before, the Lord told him to pick a replacement, which was Joshua. Joshua was going to be the new leader. Hannah Gatledge. Hey, long time no see. Happy National Nap Day and good morning. Yeah, tell me about it, right? Actually, yesterday was International Women's Day. Today I did kind of take a nap, but I'm here now. I'm so happy to see you again, Hannah. We are in the book of Numbers. I just started chapter just started chapter 31, and we're going to go through to 33 today. So after that, you will die and join your ancestors. This is God talking to Moses. So Moses said to the people, choose some men and arm them to fight the Lord's war of revenge against Midian. From each tribe of Israel, send 1,000 men into battle. So they chose 1,000 men from each tribe of Israel, a total of 12,000 men armed for battle. Then Moses sent them out, 1,000 men from each tribe, and Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the priest, led them into battle. They carried along the holy objects of the sanctuary and the trumpets for sounding the charge. They attacked Midian as the Lord had commanded Moses, and they killed all the men. All 5 of the Midianite kings, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, died in the battle. They also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with the sword. Remember what was going on with Balaam the other day? He was like, curse my enemies. No, I can't do that. God said, no, no, no. All right, this is verse 9. Then the Israelite army captured the Midianite women and children and seized their cattle and flocks and all their wealth as plunder. They burned all the towns and villages where the Midianites had lived. After they had gathered the plunder and captives, both people and animals, they brought them all to Moses and Eleazar the priest and to the whole community of Israel, which was camped on the plains of Moab beside the Jordan River across from Jericho. Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the camp went to meet them outside the camp. But Moses was furious with all the generals and captains who had returned from the battle. Why have you let all the women live? He demanded. These are the very ones who followed Balaam's advice and caused the people of Israel to rebel against the Lord at Mount Peor. They are the ones who caused the plague to strike the Lord's people. So kill all the boys and all the women who have had intercourse with a man. Only the young girls who are virgins may live. You may keep them for yourselves, and all who have killed anyone or touched a dead body must stay outside the camp for 7 days. That's why that rule is in place. Okay. You must purify yourselves and your captives of the 3rd and 7th day. Purify all your clothing too, and everything made of leather, goat, hair, or wood. Then Eleazar the priest said to the men who were in battle, the Lord has given Moses this legal requirement. Anything made of gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, or lead, that is, all metals that do not burn, must be passed through the fire in order to be made ceremonially pure. These metal objects must then be further purified with the water of purification, but everything that burns must be purified by the water alone. On the 7th day, you must wash your clothes and be purified, then you may return to the camp. You know I got commentary for the earlier part. I mean, gee whiz. So all the women who were probably old enough to be sexually active, or the ones who were leading the men astray. So here they are. They got captured, and now it's kind of like, yeah, I hate to tell you, but you gotta go. And then of course, so kill all the boys and all the women who have had intercourse. Now I'm wondering, I'm thinking, kill all the boys because at one point there may be boys now, or maybe teenagers, young men, but they've just seen their entire land being taken over. So revenge is probably brewing in their mind, and as they get older, that will be a reason for conflict. And so it's kind of like nip it in the bud now, and only the women young enough who have not had a husband and who wouldn't have had the opportunity to lead them astray, those are the only survivors. I'm not saying I agree with everything, but I do understand it. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. But yeah, that was verses 15 through 24. And now I am moving on to 25. Hannah says, awesome, and how are you doing? I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. Change of the weather got my throat a little, my voice a little bit, but I'm feeling okay. Because this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice. Rejoice. And I'll be glad in it. All right, moving on to verse 25, talking about division of the plunder. So this is all the stuff that they've gathered, and now we got to divvy it up so that it's all equally distributed. And the Lord said to Moses, "You and Eleazar the priest and the family leaders of each tribe are to make a list of all the plunder taken in the battle, including the people and the animals. Then divide the plunder into two parts, and give half to the men who fought the battle, and half to the rest of the people. From the army's portion, first give the Lord his share of the plunder, one of every 500 of the prisoners, and of the cattle, donkeys, sheep, and goats. Give this share of the army's half to Eleazar the priest as an offering to the Lord. From the half that belongs to the people of Israel, take one of every 50 of the prisoners and the cattle, donkeys, sheep, goats, and other animals. Give this share to the Levites, who are in charge of maintaining the Lord's tabernacle." So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded. Because remember, the priests, they don't get land. Only the soldiers, only the warriors get land, and the Levites get a tithing from the people. So they get only what the people give them. The plunder remaining from everything the fighting men had taken totaled 675,000 sheep and goats, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 virgin girls. Half of the plunder was given to the fighting men. It totaled 337,500 sheep and goats, of which 675 were the Lord's share, 36,000 cattle, of which 72 were the Lord's share, 30,500 donkeys, of which 61 were the Lord's share, and 16,000 virgin girls, of whom 32 were the Lord's share. Moses gave all the Lord's share to Eleazar the priest, just as the Lord had directed him. Half of the plunder belonged to the people of Israel, and Moses separated it from the half belonging to the fighting men. It totaled 337,500 sheep and goats, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 virgin girls. From the half share given to the people, Moses took one of every 50 prisoners and animals and gave them to the Levites, who maintained the Lord's tabernacle. All this was done as the Lord had commanded. Life of Key pops in and says, "Good morning, 40 fam, nipping in the butt." Ha! That's what Hannah said. Yeah, gotta nip it in the butt. Let's see. This is verse 48, because we're still in chapter 31. Then all the generals and captains came to Moses and said, "We, your servants, have accounted for all the men who went out to battle under our command. Not one of us is missing. So we are presenting the items of gold we captured as an offering to the Lord from our share of the plunder: armbands, bracelets, rings, earrings, and necklaces. This will purify our lives before the Lord and make us right with him." So Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from all the military commanders, all kinds of jewelry and crafted objects. In all, the gold that the generals and captains presented as a gift to the Lord weighed about 420 pounds. That's a lot of gold. All the fighting men had taken some of the plunder for themselves. So Moses and Eleazar the priest accepted the gifts from the generals and captains and brought the gold to the tabernacle as a reminder to the Lord that the people of Israel belonged to him. Yes, let's see. I'm looking at the postscript here. Earlier it said, "This will purify our lives before the Lord and make us right with him." In the bottom it just says, "This will make an atonement for our lives before the Lord." All right. Before I go on to chapter 32, I'm going to clear my throat just a wee little bit because I hear that congestion. So 1 minute, please. At some point, I might have to bring a humidifier in here. All right, this is chapter 32, talking about the tribes east of the Jordan. The tribes east of the Jordan. The tribes of Reuben and Gad owned vast numbers of livestock. So when they saw that the lands of Jazer and Gilead were ideally suited for their flocks and herds, they came to Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the other leaders of the community. They said, "Notice the towns of Ataroth, Dibon, Jazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elilah, Sibmah, Nebo, and Bayon. The Lord has conquered this whole area for the community of Israel, and it is ideally suited for all of our livestock. If we have found favor with you, please let us have this land as our property instead of giving us land across the Jordan River." "Do you intend to stay here while your brothers go across and do all the fighting?" Moses asked the men of Gad and Reuben. "Why do you want to discourage the rest of the people of Israel from going across the land to the land the Lord has given them? Your ancestors did the same thing when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to explore the land. After they went up to the valley of Eshcol and explored the land, they discouraged the people of Israel from entering the land the Lord was giving them. Then the Lord was very angry with them, and he vowed, 'Of all those I rescued from Egypt, no one who is 20 years or older will ever see the land I swore to give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for they have not obeyed me wholeheartedly. The only exceptions are Caleb, son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua, son of Nun, for they have wholeheartedly followed the Lord.' The Lord was angry with Israel and made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years until the entire generation that sinned in the Lord's sight had died. But here you are, a brood of sinners, doing exactly the same thing. You are making the Lord even angry with Israel. If you turn away from him like this, and he abandons them again in the wilderness, you will be responsible for destroying this entire nation." But they approached Moses and said, "We simply want to build pens for our livestock and fortified towns for our wives and children. Then we will arm ourselves and lead our fellow Israelites into battle until we have brought them safely to their land. Meanwhile, our family will stay in the fortified towns we built here, so they will be safe from any attacks by the local people. We will not return to our homes until all the people of Israel have received their portion of land. But we do not claim any of the land on the other side of the Jordan. We would rather live here on the east side and accept this as our grant of land." Then Moses said, "If you keep your word and arm yourselves for the Lord's battles, and if your troops cross the Jordan and keep fighting until the Lord has driven out his enemies, then you may return when the Lord has conquered the land. You will have fulfilled your duty to the Lord and to the rest of the people of Israel, and the land on the east side of the Jordan will be your property from the Lord. But if you fail to keep your word, then you will have sinned against the Lord, and you may be sure that your sin will find you out. Go ahead and build towns for your families and pens for your flocks, but do everything that you have promised." Then the men of Gad and Reuben replied, "We are your servants. We will follow your instructions exactly. Our children, wives, flocks, and cattle will stay here in the town of Gilead, but all who are able to bear arms will cross over to fight for the Lord, just as you have said." So Moses gave to Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders of the clans of Israel, gave orders. He said, "The men of Gad and Reuben who are armed for battle must cross the Jordan with you to fight for the Lord. If they do, give them the land of Gilead as their property when the land is conquered. But if they refuse to arm themselves and cross over with you, then they must accept land with the rest of you in the land of Canaan." The tribes of Gad and Reuben said again, "We're your servants, and we will do as the Lord has commanded. We will cross the Jordan into Canaan fully armed to fight for the Lord, but our property will be here on this side of the Jordan." So Moses assigned land to the tribes of Gad, Reuben, and half of the tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph. He gave them the territory of King Sihon of the Amorites and the land of King Og of Bashan, the whole land with its cities and surrounding lands. Let me stop and do some commentary real quick. It's kind of convenient that they are taking over. I mean, this is military speak here. Not that I was in the military, but it's kind of convenient that they are like going into a land that's pretty much already established. Think about it. Any wells that need to be dug are probably already dug out. Even though, the tribe of Gad and Reuben, they want to go over here and establish their own place. Everybody else is pretty much going into a town that's already set up. Houses are probably already built. Pens for the animals are probably already built up. Everything is already organized and set up. But yeah, I'm just thinking about that as I'm reading through verse 33. Um, given Moses gave them the territory of King Sihon, so it's already a kingdom, it's already built up, of the Amorites, and the land of King Og of Bashan, the whole land with its cities and its surrounding lands. See, the Israelites really, all they had to do was a little bit of fighting, but pretty much everything was like given to them on a platter. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comment section. All right, let me dive back in and pick it up at verse 34. I'm in chapter 32, verse 34. The descendants of Gad built the towns of Dibon, Ataroth, Aroer. Some of these names, people. Some of these names. Aroer, Aroer. How do you pronounce that? Atroth Shofan, Jazer, Jogbeha, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Haran. These were all fortified towns with pens for their flocks. The descendants of Reuben built the towns of Heshbon, Elilah, Kiriathaim, Nebo, Baal, Meon, and Sibmah. They changed the names of some of the towns they conquered and rebuilt. I was wondering about that. Then the descendants of Machir, of the tribe of Manasseh, went to Gilead and conquered it, and they drove out the Amorites living there. So Moses gave Gilead to the Machirites, descendants of Manasseh, and they settled there. The people of Jair, another clan of the tribe of Manasseh, captured many of the towns in Gilead and changed the name of that region to the towns of Jair. Meanwhile, a man named Noba captured the town of Kinneth and its surrounding villages, and he renamed that area Noba after himself. Chapter 33, Remembering Israel's Journey. Yeah, I bet they had a long diary and journal to fill out after 40 years of wildering. Remembering Israel's Journey. This is the route the Israelites followed as they marched out of Egypt under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. At the Lord's direction, Moses kept a written record of their progress. These are the stages of their march, identified by the different places where they stopped along the way. They set out from the city of Ramses in early spring, on the 15th day of the first month, on the morning after the Passover. I'm gonna look up something real quick. I wonder if there's a map available because this is gonna be a long one, folks. Because this is 40 years of wandering, so I wonder if there is a map of the Israelites' journey. And that way you guys can kind of follow along. From Egypt to Canaan, yes, that's exactly what I want. Oh no. That's a good one. Hope I didn't just get kicked off. Am I still on here? I apologize for the delay. I'm rendering a video that's going to pop out right after I get off of live. Should have been off yesterday. And since my computer is working right now, it's very slow in what I'm asking it to do. But I've got quite a bit of reading here, and so I do want to show you guys some visual while I'm reading through the chronicles of them going from Egypt to the promised land here. Alright, while I'm waiting for that to load, I guess I'll get started, but my computer is so slow right now. Alright, let's see. This is the route the Israelites, there it goes. Good grief. Alright, let me blow this up a little bit. Pull it off to the side and give you guys the screen share so you guys know what's going on. Yeah, it's like really, really slow. Like super slow. Alright, hopefully it's a little bit blurry, but hopefully you can see that. Alright. It's not as big as I would have liked it to be, but the show must go on. Chapter 33, Remembering Israel's Journey. This is the route the Israelites followed as they marched out of Egypt under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. At the Lord's direction, Moses kept a written record of their progress. These are the stages of their march, identified by the different places where they stopped along the way. They set out from the city of Ramses in early spring, on the 15th day of the first month, on the morning after the Passover celebration. The people of Israel left defiantly in full view of all the Egyptians. Meanwhile, the Egyptians were burying all their firstborn sons, whom the Lord had killed the night before. The Lord had defeated the gods of Egypt that night with great acts of judgment. Where is... Okay, so we got Egypt over on this side. After leaving Ramses, the Israelites set up camp at Succoth. Then they left Succoth and camped at Etham, on the edge of the wilderness. They left Etham and turned back toward Pi-hahiroth, opposite Baal Zephon, and camped near Migdol. They left Pi-hahiroth and crossed the Red Sea into the wilderness beyond. Then they traveled for 3 days into Etham wilderness and camped at Marah. They left Marah and camped at Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 palm trees. They left Elim and camped beside the Red Sea. They left the Red Sea and camped in the wilderness of Sin. They left the wilderness of Sin and camped at Dophkah. They left Dophkah and camped at Alush. They left Alush and camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They left Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. They left the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibroth Hattava. They left Kibroth Hattava and camped at Hazeroth. They left Hazeroth and camped at Rithmah. They left Rithmah and camped at Rimmon Perez. They left Rimmon Perez and camped at Libnah. They left Libnah and camped at Risa. They left Risa and camped at Kehelatha. They left Kehelatha and camped at Mount Shepher. Where are we at on this map? I don't know if we're still over here somewhere. Let's see. They left Mount Shepher and camped at Harada. They left Harada and camped at Makheloth. They left Makheloth and camped at Tahath. They left Tahath and camped at Terah. They left Terah and camped at Mithkah. They left Mithkah and camped at Hashmonah. They left Hashmonah and camped at Moseroth. They left Moseroth and camped at Bene Jacan. They left Bene Jacan and camped at Hor Haggidgad. They left Hor Haggidgad and camped at Jotbathah. They left Jotbathah and camped at Abronah. They left Abronah and camped at Ezion Geber. They left Ezion Geber and camped at Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin. Okay, so here we go. We've come down here, moved all the way up here, and now we're here. Oh boy. Oh boy. There we go. So we're up here in Kadesh. They left Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor at the border of Edom. While they were at the foot of Mount Hor, Aaron the priest was directed by the Lord to go up the mountain, and there he died. This happened in midsummer, on the first day of the 5th month of the 40th year after Israel's departure from Egypt. So all of this right here, this is 40 years worth of journey. And that's where Aaron died, right about there. After the 40th year of Israel's departure from Egypt, Aaron was 123 years old when he died there on Mount Hor. At that time, the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, in the land of Canaan, heard that the people of Israel were approaching his land. Meanwhile, the Israelites left Mount Hor and camped at Zalmonah. Then they left Zalmonah and camped at Punon. They left Punon and camped at Oboth. They left Oboth and camped at Iye Abarim on the border of Moab. So that's down there. They left Iye Abarim and camped at Dibon Gad. Dibon Gad. Or Gad. They left Dibon Gad and camped at Almon Diblathaim. They left Almon Diblathaim and camped in the mountains east of the river near Mount Nebo. So now we're all the way up here. They left the mountains east of the river. They left the mountains east of the river and camped on the plains of Moab beside the Jordan River. And they camped from Beth Jeshimoth as far as the meadows of Acacia on the plains of Moab. While they were camped near the Jordan River on the plains of Moab, opposite Jericho, the Lord said to Moses, "Give the following instructions to the people. When you cross the Jordan River into the land of Canaan, you must drive out all the people living there. You must destroy all their carved and molten images and demolish all their pagan shrines. Take possession of their land and settle in it, because I have given it to you to occupy. You must distribute the land among the clans by sacred lots and in proportion to their size. A larger proportion of land will be allotted to each of the larger clans, and a smaller portion will be allotted to each of the smaller clans. The decision of the sacred lot is final. In this way, the portions of land will be divided among your ancestral tribes. But if you fail to drive out the people who live in the land, those who remain will be like splinters in your eyes and thorns in your sides. They will harass you in the land where you live, and I will do to you what I had planned to do to them." So I hope that map setup was helpful. That is 40 years of wandering from Egypt down through this peninsula and back down and all the way through. Oh, this is a much better map. Anyways, I encourage you guys, if you're interested in looking at the travails and wandering of the Israelites through the desert, through the wilderness, check out a map and you can see probably a lot more clearly where they were going. And as I'm looking at this map, it really was wandering because I'm looking like, okay, here's Egypt, here's Jerusalem. They could have cut across in half the time. Look at that. Bam. They could have just went right on over. And if they had boats, they probably could have sailed around the Great Sea and went on over. But that was not God's plan for them because they were hard-headed and sinful people. And so that's what they had to do. They had to go through all that just to get to where they were. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the conclusion of today's. Why is it black? Okay, there we go. That is the conclusion of today's reading. That was chapters 31, 32, and 33 in the book of Numbers. I didn't even have to get my compact Bible today because everything was pretty straightforward. Um, let's see, no GPS during this time. They had to follow the Lord's instructions, right? And while they traveled more than I have, yeah, and they didn't even need a passport. But yeah, that's what was going on there in the book of Numbers, and there should be not that much left actually. I mean, they finally get to the promised land. They're pretty much getting ready to clear out everybody who's there and take over. So tomorrow will be the last portion of Numbers, and I guess there's nothing left except for them to really settle in. Tomorrow's going to be 35, 36, and 37. And let's get a sneak peek ahead, shall we? Let's see. Tomorrow's going to be boundaries. Okay, so that makes sense. 34, they're going to be setting up boundaries. They got their leaders to help divide the land. They've got towns for the Levites, cities of refuge. Talking again about women who inherit property. And that's what's going to happen tomorrow in Numbers. Then we will be done with this section of the Old Testament. Thank you so much for the people who hung out with me today in the live stream. A little bit of difficulty today. Started late. A little bit of congestion. Had to leave and clear my nasal passages. But you stood with me. You stayed true. So I appreciate that. Quick shout out to the folks in the live stream. To all those who took time to visit me in the live stream. Thank you, The Wiz. Thank you, Laverne Dorsey. Thank you, Katata Cook and Mama's Homestead. Thank you, Hannah Gatledge. Thank you, Life of Key. And anybody else who's in the live stream but didn't say hello. Hello, but I can't give you a shout out if you don't communicate, so then your name will pop up. And for those of you guys who are listening on the replay, I hope you enjoyed today's reading. If you have any questions, comments, insights, or interpretations of what happened, why it happened, or anything like that, or maybe if you're reading a different translation and something was slightly different, let me know. Let me know in the comment section, because this is a modern translation of it. So some things, it's not changed per se, but it's if it's not in the postscript, if it's not in the bottom in the postscript, then it's a very, very clean read. Anyways, I enjoyed this particular reading. I do have the old King James version. To me, I would probably read my King James version after I've gone through this, because I don't want to be tripped up on any part of the reading. And yeah. Anyways, thank you for your time. I'm so happy to be here. I really am. Even though I was late, even though I'm a little congested, I have so much to be thankful for. And I'm thankful for you guys listening. I'm thankful for my discipline to keep up with my reading. I'm very happy. I'm very happy. 11 weeks, reading the Bible for 11 weeks. I think this is the most I've ever read of the Bible, so I'm very happy. Oh, Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time. Thank you for this quiet moment where I can just sit aside, read the word, and whether anybody comes in or not, I'm just happy to have this time to study the word. This is what you gave me. These are the instructions and the lessons that you are giving me, and I'm so happy that I have this time to just sit and work it out. 41 years on this earth, and I'm just now taking time to get to know you. So I thank you for this time. I pray for 41 plus more years to get to know you. And for everyone in the live stream and on the replay, I pray that they are blessed by the reading of the scriptures today, and that they are encouraged to take time on their own to read so they can have their own understanding and relationship with you. Lord, thank you for today. This is the day you made, so I will Rejoice. I will rejoice and I'll be glad in it. Amen. 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 Somebody came in my live stream the other day, or maybe I was in somebody else's, and they said, Amen means it is done, or so it shall be, something like that. I don't think I ever knew that. Did you guys know that? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I wonder if that in my little my dictionary. Amen. You know how it is when you use a word your whole life and you're like, I know what it means, but I don't know what it means. I've stumped it. But yeah, what does amen mean to you? Let me know in the comment section, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Amnon, Anon, Amorites, Amarna, Amasa, Amen. Amen is in here. I must have skipped over it. Y'all want to know what amen is? Amen. We'll find out. Amen or amen means so be it. A solemn word by which a person confirms a statement, an oath, or covenant. The first time this is used is Numbers 5 and 22. It's also used in, I can't remember how to pronounce this one, Nehemiah 5:13. It is also used in worship to affirm an address, a psalm, or prayer. In Isaiah 65 and 16, the Lord is called the God of truth. The original Hebrew means the God of Amen. Didn't know that. This is Isaiah's way of saying that the Lord is the one who remains eternally true, the one who can always be relied on. In the New Testament, our Lord Jesus Christ is given the same title, the Amen, the faithful and true witness. He too is eternally true and reliable. Amen. So be it. On that note, see you guys tomorrow morning. Entrepreneur Drive 40, Entrepreneur Drive. Entrepreneur Drive 40, Entrepreneur Drive. Entrepreneur Drive 40, Entrepreneur Drive. Thanks for watching, share, like, and subscribe.